With Joe Biden stepping down, the presidential election is on every news cycle right now as Kamala Harris comes as the front runner. What is Kamala Harris's view on the Second Amendment? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today. That's right, we are back on the national platform, but with California roots. I wanted to focus on Kamala Harris today, although she's won 0 primaries in this presidential election season. She is currently, by default, the front runner for the Democratic Party. I thought maybe we could get into her a little bit today. We have brought back our legislative director to talk about it. That is Rick Travis, who is also the host of Firing Line Radio. You can find him on Saturdays at 1 p.m. on AM 590 The Answer. Rick, thank you for being with us today.
Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. So I guess we can just jump right into this. Kamala, unless you've been living under a rock, you know this already. Kamala Harris is the front runner. She is campaigning for president of the United States coming into the 2024 presidential elections. I thought we could take a quick look back because she ended her presidential campaign in 2020 pretty early as a pretty unlikable candidate. I wanted to revisit the moment that she became unlikable to a lot of Americans. That was in a debate, specifically a little back and forth with Tulsi Gabbard. Jacob, can you roll this one really quick?
Back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, a lot more things to talk about in a presidential campaign than firearms. But what we do focus on is the firearms and the firearms community and the potential legislation that comes from that. Rick, so the question is, you know, having Kamala Harris in the positions that she's been in California before the Senate run as well as the vice president run. What do we know about Kamala Harris? What does her platform on the Second Amendment actually look like?
So her platform evolved slightly from when she was the San Francisco district attorney. But even then, you know, she would talk about, she would never disclose if she had a concealed carry permit, which is fine. There's a lot of our people that don't do that. I get it. But she would openly brag that she's pro Second Amendment, a rhetoric device that she uses to this day. She would say, hey, I've shot my pistol, so there's my bona fides, I'm one of you. But then we turn around and start on this, how you can be pro Second Amendment and pro wiping out the Second Amendment all at the same time. And so a lot of people, when they first hear it, they're not really familiar with the Constitution, what the Second Amendment is, how it works, go, oh, well, she's pro it, and so here's our suggestions for it, and that's acceptable. This is what's dangerous, is a lot of America has not had to fight like California has against the likes of Harris. And as you put it, you know, she became our attorney general, and California Rifle Pistol Association didn't just have one, numerous lawsuits going up against Harris and the legislature that she represented, and the governor she represented, trying to stop some pretty heinous laws from coming into effect. Then we see her going up, and, you know, I've had the privilege, or not privilege, depending on your viewpoint, of working with a lot of different people. And Loretta Sanchez had been her chief rival in that Senate race to fulfill former Senator Boxer, who was not a friend of the Second Amendment either. But, you know, I'll never forget one of the things, and Politico reported this way back in 2015, but one of the statements was, now's not the time to bring somebody like Kamala Harris to the leadership position in the Senate, let alone higher. Now is not the time for Kamala Harris to become president when it comes to the Second Amendment. We have video from her during the presidential debates when she was running very early on for president, of what she said she would do in her first 100 days.
You know what? You want to go hunting? That's fine. But we need reasonable gun safety laws in this country, starting with universal background checks and a renewal of the assault weapon ban. But they have failed to have the courage to act. So, Ben, here's my response to you. Upon being elected, I will give the United States Congress 100 days to get their act together and have the courage to pass reasonable gun safety laws. And if they fail to do it, then I will take executive action. And specifically, what I will do is put in place a requirement that for anyone who sells more than 5 guns a year, they are required to do background checks when they sell those guns. I will require that for any gun dealer that breaks the law, the ATF take their license. And by the way, ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Well, the ATF has been doing a lot of the A and the T, but not much of the F. And we need to fix that.
So right there, you have a couple of warning shots. One, she is holding Congress hostage. Do what I want you to do, or I will just take the executive choice of saying, fine, I'm going to do it on my own without you. So in other words, be very clear. Kamala Harris is saying, once I'm in that position, this is happening, period.
I guess really quick, so she's saying that she would take this sort of action if she was elected to the president. Did she do anything similar to that when she was elected as a senator?
Well, as a senator, she's one voice among many. And so what we saw during her term as senator was she spoke out on every anti-Second Amendment bill and tried to lead the charge. Thankfully, we had a Senate that made it impossible for her to get the vast majority of any of those things along with her colleagues through. But now we're looking at her not being a senator. We're looking at her possibly, even before the elections in November, depending on what happens with Biden, she could be the president. And this is not a threat. This is long-term. And one of the things is you're going to hear the same thing you did when she was running for Senate. So she hasn't changed her position. And I think that is what is so damning in this, is that America needs to wake up. She is a clear and present threat to the U.S. Constitution, especially the Second Amendment.
So, Wisconsin, I am told as of this morning that we have earned the support of enough delegates to secure the Democratic nomination. We, who believe that every person in our nation who should have the freedom to live safe from the terror of gun violence, will finally pass red flag laws, universal background checks, and an assault weapons ban.
Okay, well, this is pretty apparent, I guess. She's had these viewpoints for a long time. She's defended the unconstitutional gun laws, even dating back to the days of being the California Attorney General. This is something that we completely expect as a presidential campaign and entering the White House if she is elected. What more else is there to say other than, is this California's platform coming to the White House?
Yeah, it's most definitely is the most radical left platform coming to the White House. And what is scary is, right now, as we're talking, she hasn't declared a vice president yet. That could be Mark Kelly from Arizona, who happens to be the husband of Gabby Giffords, which is the Giffords Gun Law Center, which is one of the most notorious anti-Second Amendment groups in the country, that would be right there in the White House with her. And this is a woman who has already explained for over a decade, she has no problems. If she doesn't get her way with the legislative branch, she'll just write it into law on her own.
I guess the only thing left to say is that let's see what those Democratic delegates do. It's definitely going to be interesting watching a contentious convention that's in August coming up really soon, but fully expect I guess the expectation here is to have a very heavy gun control lobby if you were to see a Kamala Harris presidency come in 2025. Any final thoughts on this going forward, Rick? We got a lot of stuff to look forward to in the presidential race, a lot of stuff to look forward to in California politics as well. What's the outlook that you have moving into November?
The warning should be very clear to all Americans watching this. if you live in the other 49 states besides California and you don't like what has happened in California, if Harris becomes president of the United States, you can look to becoming Californicated when it comes to the Second Amendment.
Unfortunately, that's used in the negative sense. But Rick, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to come on. I appreciate the insight. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And guys, if you like this insight, you like this information, and you want to be able to educate people going into the November election, please like, share, and subscribe to these videos. Hit that notification bell so that as information comes out and is uploaded to this channel, you are notified immediately. The algorithms are really pushing that like button. So if you had to do one, please smash that like button. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.